you cracked a meaning for this dream I wasn't expecting because I
It
just picked
always
this one too.
goes.
It's one of the most wild ones that I think I've had.
Yeah. Well, you definitely gave me a run for my money. You got my work
Yeah.
cut out for me.
Welcome to The Dream Show, where each episode I sit down with someone just like you
I'm in a current phase of pushing myself to do things.
to decode the meaning behind your dreams and explore their connection with trauma, healing, and the subconscious mind.
I do like to watch and see where the dream takes me.
My name is Jesse Lyon, your host, a licensed counselor, certified trauma hypnotherapist, and a dream interpreter. So whether it's a nightmare,
I don't know why, but I knew that he was talking about me. And he comes storming up to the door. And I remember him shouting, "Where is my son?"
a bizarre scene, or something too weird to even describe,
It was so traumatic for me, literally, I have blocked all but this memory.
we dive in and learn to listen to the messages that your mind is trying to tell you. Let's jump into it.
Sam, welcome to the Dream Show. So excited that you're here.
Thank you
and
for
I
having
hear that
me.
you've got a lot of very interesting stuff
Oh
to
yeah.
share with us today. So I'll kind of let you take it away. Could you give us an introduction to you and what kind of brings you here?
Sure. So I'm Sam Bowles. For some of you guys might know me from TikTok. I was pretty popular 2 or 3 years ago when I was doing videos where I was pouring water on chalk. Uh, I have a following from that, and then I also did videos about autism awareness, and then I'm here because I was scrolling through TikTok and I came across Jesse's stuff, and I was like, I wonder if this guy would want to talk to me because I have been writing my dreams down every day for 6 years. And for the past 2 years, I've been keeping a log of who's been in each dream. And I have a slideshow where I kind of move people around in pictures, like of who's appeared the most or whatever. And that goes from real people. I get animated characters in my dreams. And yes, they show up as their 2D selves, like with live action people. Like think of Inside Out, like with the different Inside Out too, like the different styles of animation. Anyway,
That's
I
awesome.
digress. But yeah, so I've been and I send my dreams to my friends every day. We have a group chat with some of my friends called Sam's Dream Journal, where they all read it. They're like, I didn't know what was gonna happen next. And then, because my dreams are like really vivid. Like even yesterday, my friends and I were talking. They're like, how much melatonin do you take before you go to bed, or do you take? I'm like, no, I literally like don't even take anything. Like it could just be an autism thing. It could be like something along those lines, but I don't know. But actually, at the end of last year, and do it again this year. Like now that we have ChatGPT, I had a ChatGPT for all my friends who wanted it. I had it write an essay for what my friends did in each of the dreams that they were in of mine, and what that means
Okay.
to me subconsciously. And they thought it was so funny, like because they have really funny quotes. And then I
That's
sent Jesse
awesome.
a dream of one of my most scary but funny ones from last year.
Yeah, which as the people in the audience know, I do not read the dreams beforehand because
Oh, okay.
the point of the show is for this to be as close to what would happen if I had a brand new client, they walked into my office, sat down and said, I have this dream,
Hmm.
help me understand. So I want it to
Hmm.
be as real as it is. Of course, this is not mental health counseling. This is not a
Of course.
substitute for any of that. But I want it to be a place for other people to kind of see the place that dreams and mental health have in this space. And
Hmm.
so, Sam, I appreciate your bravery, your honesty for
Oh
being on the
yeah.
show and doing this. That is
Yeah.
so fascinating. Subjectively speaking, I can't quote a research study to you, but I have noticed that those who are diagnosed on the autism spectrum do seem to have very vivid and very intense dream life.
Interesting.
Um, and so, just subjectively, I have noticed that in my practice. There seems to be something really powerful about the way that the subconscious speaks for those whose brains work in that neurodivergent way. So
Hmm.
that's awesome, and actually doesn't surprise me too much that
Yeah.
your brain would think that way too.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So, when you are writing down these dreams and you're using them in your life, what significance do they have to you? Are you specifically coming to them for meaning? Are they entertainment for you? Talk to me about your relationship to your dreaming world.
Well, now that it's become like such a big part of my life, one of my friends, his nickname for me is Dream Machine Supreme, because he's on the Dream
That's
newsletter.
great.
But anyway, honestly, like I guess like the biggest like thing I'd use them for like meaning is like sometimes I'll have a dream where like I'm annoyed at someone, or no, what's not that's not it. It's if like I'm annoyed at someone in real life, then sometimes I'll have a dream that like they disappear and they don't want to talk to me, they cut off contact with me, and I wake up and I'm like, ah, that was horrible. So then whenever I'm annoyed with that person in real life, I'm kind of like, wait, remember how you felt in that dream? Like, you know, the actual feeling of how it feels to not be friends with them anymore. I'm just like, well, so stop being annoyed. That's just
Oh
one
wow.
example. But also it's just like, it's interesting, like sometimes I actually see like, here, I'll show you this. Another big hobby of mine is genealogy. This is my wall of ancestors, my great great
Whoa.
grandparents. But so I see like all of these people in my dreams sometimes, and I get to have conversations with them. Some of them who I
Yeah,
never
that's
even
cool.
met. Uh, so I don't know. It's kind of interesting just to see like the impact it has on me on my day-to-day life, because as the sometimes, like, I keep my phone like right by my bed, and then basically the second I get up, like, I don't care how tired I am, you have to write that down because that's data. So like I type it all
Tell
out,
them.
and then I put on my Google sheet, and actually I move the people up and down, and I add like what place they've been in like the whole year. Like, I like, you were in fifth place from January 5th to April 6th, but then you bumped down to sixth place.
I was.
Not you, but you haven't been to
Oh,
dream
I
yet.
was
But
like.
honestly, this opens the door. Like, now that your face is like, here, I can see you, this could register. And I'll let you know when you make your appearance, and then maybe you'll get a
That would be
ChatGPT
great.
essay
I got
also.
to really.
Because I tell you, everyone who has wanted to be in a dream of mine, like all my friends who are just like, we want to be in a dream, like they have made an appearance. I've got celebrities. I've got, like, I had Barack Obama and Cardi B in a dream together at once one time. Like one time Miley Cyrus and Zendaya got into a fight at my grandma's house, and it, like, the TV was on record or whatever, and it spread to the whole internet, and Donald Trump got really mad. It was a long dream. It was crazy.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. They're definitely interesting. You definitely document them. Do you have some kind of plans of what you want to do with this? Like, it almost feels like you're doing an impromptu research project that may turn into something one day.
Well, that's why I'm glad I'm here, for one thing, but also I don't know, like, I feel like it could be something used for research. I don't know how it would be used. Like, just like, I mean, I could like write maybe like a little book and give it to some psychologist and be like, here, read this and see like what patterns do you notice,
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Oh man,
yeah.
I gotta get you connected. So at the time of this recording, it is actually July 10th, which is my birthday. Actually, today is my
Oh,
birthday.
happy birthday.
Thank
I
you.
sing also.
Ooh, what's that?
I sing also, but we can
Oh,
wait.
don't worry. No, not to put you on the spot.
Yeah,
But just a couple weeks ago, I returned from presenting at the International Conference
I
for the
heard.
Study of Dreams. And so there's a lot of people who are very interested in dreams, just like you, and they do
Hmm.
connect and network with researchers
Hmm.
to share their dreams and like store
Hmm.
them in databases and do like meta analysis on the dream content and stuff. So, yeah, the things that you're thinking about doing are not that far off and are things that other people are doing already. So I think you'd find a great home there
Oh, really?
among them, which
I'll
would
have
be
to get
cool.
connected. I know
Yeah.
later in the uh, interview, whenever you're ready or whenever you'd like me to, I would be interested in sharing some of the slideshow with you just really quick, or some of the.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Let me get
Okay.
let's get to the dream. But in order to get to the dream,
Okay.
let me ask a little bit about kind of your background. I mean, you seem pretty young. That's an
Yeah,
assumption on my
I'm
part.
21.
21. Okay,
Yeah.
great. And living on your own. What part of the country do you live in? Give me some little background because that usually flavors the
Yeah.
dream and some of the symbolism that
Hmm.
comes inside.
So, okay, I'm Sam Bowles. I'm 21 years old. I was born in Chicago. Then I moved to Ohio when I was 2 months old. I lived there
Okay.
for a year. I moved to Pennsylvania when I was one and a half. And by the way, just another memory thing, I can remember everything one and a half onward. Like, my memory is really, really strong. Like, I could tell you
Mm.
everything about my second birthday. Anyway, and then I moved to Washington when I was 7. And then now I go to Western Washington University. I'm going into my fourth year there, majoring in English. So
Congrats. Nice,
thank
nice.
you.
Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. So in school, young guy, figuring some stuff out. Okay. That gives you some background. So what kind of dream do you have for me today? And if it's better to describe this through a slideshow, I'm down for
Oh,
that.
this one, the slideshow is for, because I do a slideshow for each year. So this is the 2025 slideshow of who's been in my dreams so far this year. But so this dream was from September of last year, and at the time it was September. I just moved into this house I'm leasing, and what was I gonna say? I What's the word I'm looking for here? I guess it was just I don't know if it was just a stressful time just because it was my first time, being out of the dorms and everything. And also I also am big into genealogy, as I showed you the wall. So I was mapping out my
Clearly.
family tree, and I learned about some relatives who'd lived in Ohio. So that's important for this. And then I guess I was
Okay.
excited to be back at school after the summer and everything in my college town. So
Nice. Well, then maybe it does sound appropriate then to start with the slideshow to get an overview,
sure.
and then we'll
So I'm
take
not.
a snippet of this one particular dream you've got for me today.
Yes, I don't know if any of the characters in this stream were in the slideshow, but I'm gonna. So let's see. I think I'll do it like I've seen people on TikTok do it. Let me just take my
Maybe
computer off here.
we'll annotate
All
it.
right.
We'll get
So
a.
I'm gonna
That's
show you
perfect.
just the animated character section because some of the real people include some of my family that I don't know if they want to be on here or not. But I can show you the animated characters section. So animated characters, some like I said, they show up as their 2D selves, like against the background. If you've seen Amazing World of Gumball, Inside Out, you think of all those different animation styles in one in the real life world. So this is every animated character who has been in one dream this year so far, just one. So anyone
That's
you
it.
recognize?
Oh, I'm seeing some Arthur characters in
Yes,
there.
respect.
SpongeBob is in
SpongeBob.
there.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Is that the annoying orange in there
Yes, it's a
too?
specifically an annoying orange from a video they did about what it would look like if he was in live action and not as animated. Specifically that version.
Very specific.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm seeing some like Lois and Peter Griffin from
Yep.
Family Guy. I'm seeing some Peppa Pig is in
Yeah,
there.
Peppa Pig, yeah.
Sadness from Inside Out and Joy.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I mean, gosh, we could go on, but that's fantastic.
I'll go through
So
the rest. Sorry.
this is a category. Okay, go ahead.
And then so every animated character has made 2 appearances.
Oh, so you have them organized. VeggieTales.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. See, yeah.
Yeah, you must have grown up in a conservative Christian house like I did.
Not conservative Christian, but I was liberal Christian. But
okay, gotcha.
I love this is like one of the few shows my dad could tolerate, even though this rumor weed here scared me to death for years.
Yo, same.
I'm a rumor weed. Yes, I mean, that episode made me so mad because I'm like, why are all the adults believing whatever the rumor said? Just like he's a robot. Like the kids get a free pass.
It's like, bruh.
Sorry,
bruh.
like
yeah.
you'll.
Okay. Continue.
Okay, 3 appearances. Yes, got Papa, Arthur, Bob, and Jimmy, and then 5 appearances: Candace and Larry.
Larry the cute.
And then I'll go through this really quick. We get live action characters. So these are real people, but they showed up as their live action characters. So they count as the live action characters section. This could be movies I've watched, Disney Channel I've watched growing up.
I'm seeing some Steve from Blue's Clues.
Yeah, it's respect.
Great. Respect, yeah. Oh man, Steve came back to TikTok at the time.
I know, I saw that, but I'm like, I saw this and I'm just like, of course, like when I'm in the dream, I'm not just like, Steve, what are you doing here?
That's great. Okay, yeah, take it away. We can keep going.
Let's see.
Some Wicked, yeah, from the movie.
Yeah, specifically because I saw the movie over break with my cousins. So
what's the girl with the pink hair from? Crazy?
Stephanie from Lazy Town. Yeah, Lazy Town. See, my mom hated that show. So did my dad. He's like, just.
It was a little weird, but I liked it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. 3. With some Little House on the Prairie and Desperate Housewives, and then Mary from Little House on the Prairie and Jade from Victorious. She's usually screaming or something in a dream and throwing a tantrum.
Solid.
Okay, and then pets. I'll show you just really quick. That's my cousin's dog, my neighbor's dog, and a cat near my place called the Cat from the Cat Cafe. My cat, my other cat, and then puppets. I get puppets. They kind of float around in the dream, like as like
scary, man.
From Baby Einstein. This is originally in Lazy Town. They were going to have her be a puppet. I read, and I saw one picture of this, and that was all it took to get her into one dream.
Wow.
So Lazy Town, and then last one I'll show you is book characters.
Okay.
So we've got Jacob and Joseph from the Action Bible, Don't Let the Pigeons Ride the Bus, Adam and Eve from my kids' Bible I wrote when I was a kid, some Whippy Kid characters, Herbert from Junie B. Jones, and Mean Jim from Junie B. Jones, and then we got Junie B. Jones and May from Junie B. Jones.
Whoa. Okay.
So that's as much as I'll show you from there. I also track real people and places, but I don't know how much of those I want to show.
Sure. We'll protect their identities and stuff. Who knows if they want to be on YouTube or not.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Sam, how interesting.
Thank you.
You know what this is reminding me of? I'm gonna take a total tangent here, just because I think it'll be interesting, and I'm curious for your feedback. Again, subjectively, right? So a lot of the stuff that I presented at the Dream Conference and that I talk about is in the hopes that it will inspire others, especially researchers, to dig further into it. So I want to give the caveat that this is not read from any peer-reviewed research journal.
Yeah.
This is my experience as a clinician. So it's more, what would you call that? Qualitative data, not quantitative. I specialize in complex trauma. And one of the specific diagnoses that I work with quite frequently is dissociative identity disorder that used to be called multiple personalities. So I work with many clients who have, well, multiple personalities, or they call them alters. I have noticed subjectively that I have never had a client with multiple personalities that was not also on the autism spectrum. And so I don't know what it is about the neurodivergence, but there is this interesting sort of subjective correlation between the autism spectrum and multiple personalities. And your slideshow is making me think about that just because of the amount of specificity you have with the characters that show up in your dreams and the way that characters play such a significant role in symbolism and archetypology. And so I don't know if you ever thought about that, but the way that you have all these different archetypes showing up in your dreams as symbols seems very unique, especially because of the way that your brain works in just an incredible way. Have you ever considered that, or have people told you that the way that you think of characters is unique?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, everyone's always just like I've never met, so like one of my friends last year, she put it like kind of, not to shoot my own horn, but like because I've got this and then the genealogy, like so I figured out how a lot of people at my church are cousins. Like we like found out we're all like 12 cousins or whatever. And then I also, I sing, I'm writing a family book. And so my friend said, every time she meets me, she says, you know what? Every time I hang out with you, I feel like I need to do more things. But anyway, so she's like, I've never met someone who tracks their dreams in this amount of, detail or whatever. But yeah, I think like the specificity, like it's like people like when actually like every like it's funny like every Sunday after church, like this year my friends and I kind of gathered at our house and we'd project this slideshow to the TV so they could like see where they'd moved to in the slideshow. And it was funny because some people like you were just like, is that the annoying orange? I'm like, no, it's specifically the annoying orange from this one video. And then they're just like, how is it that specific? And also when in the animated characters, now I'm looking at it, like I had Blue's Clues, and then also I have there's a specific episode of Blue's Clues where a ball grows arms and picks up a girl and throws her.
Wow.
But it's like, and it's just, that's from one episode for 3 seconds, but that was enough to bring it into my dream. And I don't know, it's like interesting because they're always just like, why not just like, why so specific? And I'm like, because it has to be, I don't know, correct or whatever. And that could just be an autism thing, but
yeah, but I think it's a human thing. I do genuinely believe that it's a human thing, but I think that those who are neurodivergent are able to express it at a greater level that allows it to be observed. At least that's my personally held belief and opinion. Have you ever thought much about what it is about certain characters that makes them fertile ground to be introjected into your dream? Like, why that annoying orange? Why that ball that grows arms in Blue's Clues?
that is a great question, and one I've even pondered myself, because some of these shows, like I'm looking now, like Mama Bear from the Berenstain Bears, I have not watched that show in years or read the books even. Like, and it's like, I'm just like, that's why I'm kind of just like, when I woke up, I'm just like, what was she doing in this dream? Like, and I'll tell you some of the real people, like some people have made one appearance. Like I had one girl that I went to 4th grade with. She transferred out of the school, and she and her sister were both in the slideshow. I never talked to her sister ever, who was like 2 years my senior when I was, going to that school or whatever. But it was just funny because I'm just like, what are you guys all doing in my dream? And then I was going to say, like, I don't know, it's just interesting to look at because a lot of this stuff, like, maybe it's like, because I don't know if you saw, a new season of Phineas and Ferb did come out. And by the way, that show still makes me so angry because when I was a kid, I'd be so mad. I'm like, Candace, take out your phone, take a picture, and if it doesn't work, try again. And even if the mom like said like, oh, that's Photoshop, like I'd be okay with it because you know what, at least she tried. Like she never thinks like, and even if the mom said I won't believe it till I see it, like, sorry, that's another whole nother tangent, but
Plot holes.
yeah, exactly. But so I don't know, it's like maybe it's like the frustration with that, and also what I've what I've noticed before, like when I'm nervous about something happening like the next day or whatever,
Mm,
I'll have a dream about like something going wrong at this function or whatever. Usually
mm.
not all the time, but it'll be like I'm like lying there and like I have like a party to go to, or like if I'm hanging out with, I'm planning to hang out with someone the next day. They're gonna text me in the dream and be like, I can't hang out. Sorry, I just something happened. And so that's like something I've
See,
noticed.
you do get that experience that your dreams are often processing data that you've received and trying to make predictions, and frequently those predictions will be accurate.
Actually, okay, the hanging out with friends one has not thankfully been super accurate. But
Okay.
one of the crazy predictions I had is I had a oh, this is crazy. So last year I had a dream that like one of my friends who transferred schools, like she was coming back to visit, but she didn't know when. And in my dream, I have this written down. It was my dream was in March, and she told me I will come visit you on like I think it was May 24th. And then she actually did end up coming that day. And I was, I'm like, what's the
Shook.
I don't know. And I'm just kind of like, okay,
Wow,
that's
that
interesting.
is really cool. So to circle back around to the question, that you're not quite
Yes.
sure what it is that causes them to come in your dream, but
No
there
idea.
are some unique patterns that show up.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also, I will say, just as much like it's interesting. Like my dad is in third place, my sister's in second place, my mom's in first place, and that was the same order last year. But they're like their appearances, like absolutely are like so much higher than everybody else's that I don't think that'll ever change.
Probably,
Yeah,
probably not. Does that make sense to you though? Like, do you
yeah.
perhaps
Like
think and spend more time with them than
I
everybody
mean,
else?
I talk to my parents like every day, so like
That would check out then. Yeah,
hmm
yeah. Yeah, so some key figures in your life. Well, so I don't know, and we're about to get into a specific dream of yours to
Oh
see if we
yes,
can, kind of dig through
that
for
sounds crazy.
data. But my initial hypothesis would be that dream characters are introjected because they resonate with a very specific emotion. Um, I think dreams speak in an emotional language, and that the symbols that a dream will use are very particular and very specific because they resonate with an emotion or some kind of subconscious process is trying to be expressed. And so, they would all be archetypes.
Hmm.
Um, Now, the family makes sense too because those are very real people that you're
Yeah,
interacting with, that you're trying to process, how you're relating to them and what's gonna happen
exactly.
next.
And
So
yeah, my two best friends are right after my mom, sister, and
see,
dad.
that would
So
that would kind of make sense. That would kind of make
yeah.
sense.
Hmm.
Okay, well, you ready to jump into this specific dream? You say you
Yep,
got
it's it.
quite a wild one for me.
Oh yeah, I was debating between two that I had that were pretty wild last year. And see, also another thing I'll add before you start is like I usually sometimes not usually it's like sometimes I'll have two dreams a night and I'll have to get up at 1 a.m. to write one down. Then I'll have to go back to bed. I have to like write it down, send it out to each like member that's on the dream newsletter as we call it, who wants to read my dreams, and go back to bed. But the ones like that I get up from the middle of the night or like at 4 a.m. are always the most vivid. And this is, or I'll sleep in after waking up at 9, and then like that dream becomes even more vivid.
There is some good research to back that up, that
Yeah.
dreams that happen during the REM phase, if you wake up during the REM phase, can be very vivid. And then early morning venting dreams are usually a specific category of dreams that are releasing unprocessed emotions. So they can tend to be very vivid as well. So that makes sense to me.
Hmm.
Okay, wait. Another question's coming to my mind.
Yeah.
I've also noticed that sometimes there can be an overlap between lucid dreamers and neurodivergence, specifically like ADHD and autism spectrum. Are you ever
Hmm.
lucid in these
I
dreams?
wish.
You know what that
I
means?
wish. Yes, I wish. I wish. I have tried for years. I've had two lucid dreams in my life, and they stopped before I could do anything. And they were both when I was 11. First
Bummer.
time I had a concussion, I was 11. I had a dream that a car drove into my house, and I freaked out. And I went to my mom in the dream. She said, "Sam, it's just a dream. Like, get over it." And I woke up right then and there. And the second dream I had, also when I was
Ooh.
11, I was running down the street holding my history textbook, and I started flying. And then I thought, this is a dream. And then I woke up. So those are the two times I've lucid dreamed. And then, but the
So
fun. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so no, done it, but it's always woken you right up.
Yeah, and then the other funny thing is not really lucid dream, but one of my friends, the one who actually said, I need to do more things every time I hang out with you. Like in my dream, she told me, "Hey Sam, like this is kind of like one of your dreams, don't you think?" And then I texted her and she's like, "My dream self is becoming self-aware, you know."
It's like the Matrix is alive.
Exactly.
That's great. Have you ever tried things to help you to lucid dream? Have you ever?
Yes, I have. And I've tried checking the time, like seeing or whatever. And then
Yeah.
like what's it like look down and spin around in circles? Because I think one of my 11-year-old dreams I tried that or whatever.
Mm. One of the things that I've found the most helpful, and what those who lucid dream seem to come back to time and time again, is reality testing. So if
Hmm.
you get in the habit of testing your reality while you're awake, that habit will usually translate into your dreams. So I've got a good friend of mine who she pulls her finger, and if her finger stretches like a rubber band, she knows that she's dreaming. But if it stays like this, well, I'm awake. Another
Okay.
common one is like while people are sitting there, they'll have the thought of like, oh, I should test if this is a dream or not. They'll hold their nose and try and breathe. If you can breathe while your mouth and nose are closed, well, it's a dream. If you can't breathe, you're awake. And so getting into the habit of reality testing will make that habit a subconscious process. And that subconscious process will be repeated in the dream, allowing you to become aware that it's a dream. Have you ever tried reality testing?
I have not, but I think I should, and I'll let you know
I'd
how
be
it
very
goes.
curious to
Yeah.
see if there's any success in that. Okay, but I get, yeah, not right now. Not dreaming yet. Okay.
We are awake.
Let's get into it. Do you want to go ahead and read it, and
Sure, I'll read it.
interrupt
This
as
is
we go?
my little audiobook.
Fantastic.
This is from September of 2024. I had a dream. I was back on the cruise ship and I walked by my friend and my pastor talking about the book of Exodus. Then I was kidnapped from the cruise while I was talking to my friend and I was put onto a quote unquote death row plane with my sister, cousin, neighbor, and friend. In front of
Rough.
us were the characters Jesse, Emma, Luke, Ravi, and Zuri from Disney Channel's Jessie, as well as the characters Daryl and Roxanne Park from Disney Channel's Ant Farm. The death row part meant that if we were bad, they'd either throw us out of the place in the plane where there was a hole, throw us in between one of the many cracks in the plane, or they'd feed us bad food and fly us around in circles. The sky was dark. We sat at dinner while ladies with red bandanas made us food in the room of the plane, which was also the Western Washington University pool room, which had cafeteria tables in it. I complained
Huh.
a little bit and then put on a black mask so I wouldn't be recognized, and my sister started laughing. My friend from high school, who was now there too, shouted at me to shut up, but I pointed at my sister. Before they could scold my sister, the pilot's assistant walked by and yelled at us all to salute. We all stood up and saluted like this and sat back down. They then took off the plane, and the character Winter from Ant Farm decided who was making her mad, so she walked down the aisle and took all of our phones away. She then went to the front door and asked what she should watch tonight. I wrapped a green hat around my head. She took that to mean good luck, Charlie. The plane then began to tilt left and right as I freaked out, grabbing my neighbor's hand in fear. We flew right past the carnival in my hometown, and I said it would be funny if we all jumped out then. And my cousin rolled her eyes and said she'd like to throw a brick at my head, and that would be funny too. Harsh. Then we
Rough.
continued then we continued flying around in circles above Seattle. I was so scared, but then I saw the girls, i.e. my cousin's sister, had their phones, and I freaked out because I couldn't find mine. I then saw it was sitting next to me, and I felt touched because I knew in my heart that my sister and cousin had snuck to get it for me. Then I
Hmm.
heard my cousin complain about the ride, and the plane abruptly stopped midair as I saw a dog look up from a seat in front of us. You shouldn't have made the pilot mad. You shouldn't have said that, said my sister. The pilot angrily marched down the aisle and broke off some pieces of the plane's roof to expose more air. They then forced all the Jessie characters to hold on to giant floating letters of the alphabet in the sky. The pilot glared at my cousin, and then we took off flying. We flew through the air, and a young man pilot assistant whispered to my sister, "You might see me in Chillicothe, Ohio." He handed her some information and walked away. "Yeah, he thinks I have that money," she scoffed. Then the pilot flew the plane right into the Jessie characters. He shouted, "You!" as he flew into Ravi as he held onto the letter U. They all fell in through a crack in the plane, but Ravi almost flew out. He held on for dear life, and I grabbed his right foot in a desperate effort to drag him back in. I screamed at Luke to help me, and he did, and out of nowhere, my cousin's wife came to help too. Ravi successfully got in, and he fell on our laps in a row, and we all cheered, but the pilot wasn't happy about that. He started flying more aggressively in circles and lost control, and we began falling over Seattle. Then I woke up, and I'm still writing this in shock, and my heart is racing.
Did you say
Yeah.
that all in one breath?
Probably. I don't know. I've read my dreams. Like last night, I was reading the same dream to my friends and see if this was the one that I should share. you know, because it's
Yeah,
got a
yeah.
mix of the live action characters and the strange, you know, pool on a or rec center pool on a plane.
Huh.
You
Well,
know.
no pressure. I've got my work cut out for me here.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Sam, this is good. This is good. So
Hmm.
let me talk about this from a general perspective, and then we'll kind of get more specific. So there's a couple things that I like to share as we work through the dream.
Hmm.
Number one are the ethics of dream interpretation. I always say this and repeat this. Um, as much as I have studied in my career and my life to help people understand the subconscious symbolism, the right to the interpretation of your dream always belongs to the dreamer, right? It is never fair for someone to say, your dream means this. It is your dream. You get to choose what it means. And so that is like one of the ethical rules of dream interpretation. And I say that because when you look at this specifically, there's a lot of characters in here that I probably have no idea about. Like, I'm not very familiar with the characters from Jesse, but that's okay. Because if you think about it, I mean, you're studying for literature and English.
Yeah.
You know that there's certain types of characters, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's the jester character, kind of the bumbling idiot character.
Hmm.
You know, there's always the protagonist, right? The Harry Potter, the Luke Skywalker who goes through all the character development. There's the brainy character. There's the evil character. There's the character who betrays, like Judas, you know? And so you'll see those characters repeated oftentimes. And the base of those characters is what we would call an archetype, right? Is kind of a classic symbol that sort of transcends all the stories that human beings tell. And so that's okay. I think a lot of people can feel intimidated when they try and interpret dreams. You don't need to know all the characters. The dreamer will tell you. You have connections with each of these characters. They mean something emotionally to you. And they probably relate to some fundamental human experiences. So let's look at it from the second piece. This is the second kind of setup that we need to talk about, which is the difference between latent content and manifest content. And if you've heard it before, pardon me for repeating for everybody else.
No idea.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So there's two levels of dream interpretation. Manifest content is very literal, right? Maybe in my job, I'm having difficulties with my boss. And so then I go to sleep and I have a dream about arguing with my boss. That's a little manifest content. Very, very straightforward.
Yeah.
You know, waking life stuff is coming into dream stuff. Latent content is deeper and it's much more personal. Latent content is all about the self, right? So on the surface level, I'm arguing with my boss. But if you were to look at the latent content, the latent layer of that dream, I am both my boss and myself in that dream. The argument is not only with my waking life boss, but also how I refuse to take leadership over my life. And that puts me in conflict with those in leadership positions in my waking life. So you can see I'm in an argument with my own leadership. And that's probably why I'm having anxiety or depression or struggles. So I am both of those parts. And so I look at this. Well, I don't think this is very much manifest content. I mean, unless you have quite the wild life that I'm not aware of.
Oh, no.
This seems very latent. This is very personal.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we had that conversation as well about multiple personalities, DID type of stuff, because I really think about dreams in the same way. The goal when helping someone find themselves is to get all the parts of themselves to interact kindly with one another, right? Like there's a social media content creator version of me. There's a father version of me that parents my son. There's a husband version of me that, you know, is married to my wife. And so these are all characters of Jesse. They all live inside of me. And it's my responsibility to make sure that they all get along, right? Like as much as I may want to make content and work really hard, that's going to put me in conflict with the husband version of myself that wants to go home and take a break and be with my wife. We all experience that, some to very like literal levels with maybe multiple personalities or different characters. Some maybe more subconscious levels where we don't recognize that we're in conflict with ourselves, but they come out in our dreams. And so I want to set that as the premise as we work through this. The approach that I'm taking is we're going to look at some of the overarching themes here. And I'd love for you to fill in as we go what starts to resonate and like, oh yeah, that character probably represents this piece of me. So mini lecture over.
Yeah.
Is anything? I'm looking in your eyes as I say this. It almost seems as though some things are already jumping into your mind as I start to talk about this concept. Are you thinking about some things that are already connecting with you?
The funny thing is, like, no, it's like, it's just, I don't know what to make of it. It's the thing is, like,
Mm,
like, at last year, like, I haven't done as much this year. I actually need to get back on it. Like, I would text my dreams to ChatGPT every day also and ask it to tell me what it meant.
yeah.
Because I was like, I have not watched Jesse since I was probably like, 10 or 11, and I'm like, let alone any Disney Channel show. And I'm kind of like, this is interesting. Like, I don't know. And, now actually, you know what? Take it back. Now, maybe it was because I'm coming back to school. Like, that's kind of the area or whatever. And I don't know if it was just like a rush of nostalgia or desire to be young again or something along those lines,
Mm.
but perhaps.
Well, I kind of imagine that it's a metaphor. I mean, what time in your life were you watching Jesse the most?
I mean, when I was in elementary school.
In
So,
elementary school. Kind of like early ages of elementary school, later.
like, you know what now? Actually, I had this memorized. Good memory. It ran from 2011 to 2015. So it started when I was 7, ended when I was 11. So
Very
I
good,
would have
man.
been second to sixth grade. So
Oh, so it would have been the whole. So this is a great, like,
yeah,
fertile symbol for all of elementary school.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Wow.
also the other shows, Ant Farm, Good Luck Charlie, those were also on when I was in a. Actually, so those ones, I think Good Luck Charlie started when I was in kindergarten. So it was kind of a long
Okay.
time for all of that.
So it sounds like we're looking specifically at the area of your life. Like your dream is trying to communicate specifically to the area of your life that took place between kindergarten and the end of elementary school, sixth grade.
Yeah.
Sixth grade?
Yeah, but it's interesting you say that because it's like also like they're characters from those shows who show up on the, plane or whatever, but also like it's like interesting because also my college's pool is also on the plane
Yeah.
because that's how dreams work. And
Dream
also we're
logic.
just floating in air and pilots destroying the roof or whatever and making cracks in the ground and it's a, death row plane or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. But it all starts on a cruise ship.
Yes,
Yeah, it all starts on a cruise ship. Very,
that
very
I was
short,
on.
but it is on a cruise ship. I walked by
Yeah.
my friend and pastor talking about the book of Exodus.
Hmm.
And so, as I look about
Oh,
this, yeah,
sorry, I just thought of something.
yeah,
Unless you
please.
have something. Oh, when I was a kid, growing up Christian things, my neighbors and I, we used to go to the beach and play Exodus. So what we do is we take my sister's doll and put it in a basket and push it towards people at the beach and see if they'd get the joke
That's
that was Moses. Or we'd stand on the edge
that's
of the playground
great.
like I'm gonna be Moses, you guys be the Israelites, and we're gonna pretend I'm splitting the sea. And on the 4th of July, we get our inflatable pool in the backyard and be like, you can be the Pharaoh, like you can be Pharaoh's daughter this time. So we'd take
That's
turns.
great.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was another childhood thing that was coming back, but and also I did actually go on a cruise ship last year, and it was that cruise ship that it started off on, and the friend that I was talking to, I'm actually going to visit Norway next week, but I met him on there, and he was talking to my pastor, which was from here. It was
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, listen, Sam. I have no bloody idea, but we got to start somewhere, and
Yeah.
so a lot of this is collaborative. Here's what I'm thinking, man. After listening to this dream and kind of thinking it through, it starts on a cruise ship, which oftentimes is a symbol for our relationship with others and how we're navigating the emotional waters of our life.
Hmm.
Ships travel on water. They help
Hmm.
us navigate emotions just in the same way that our friendships, relationships help us navigate our emotions. There's also a little bit of a play on words oftentimes with the word ship, relationship, cruise ship.
Mm.
So you can kind of see that little bit of connection there. So hold on to that idea of ship. It then transitions. You were kidnapped from the cruise ship while talking to
Hmm.
friends. And then you ended up on a death row plane, and things start to get much more metaphorical, right? So here's some
Hmm.
literal individuals that I'm with the ship on, relationship, and I'm
Hmm.
kind of coming out of my literal relationships into this much more metaphorical space, specifically on a plane. Planes are up in the air, so they don't feel as stable. They're also flying places, and flying is a symbol of confidence and transition, right? Planes go from one airport to another. Oftentimes, when we're in big transitions in our life, we're moving from one state to another. We're almost moving from one mental framework to another, right? So planes sort of symbolize all of that. But this plane is particular. It's a death row plane. It's not it's not necessarily a nice plane. It comes with some very dire consequences. So let's abstract that for a minute. Let me clear my throat. If we kind of abstract sort of the environment of the dream, I would imagine that the dreamer, Sam, is going through a period of their life where their relationships are being changed and they're no longer working in the way that they typically did. But they're specifically not working in the way that they did because something about your mindset has changed. You're transitioning from one mental state, see, state to state, flying, from one mental state to another state. But the consequences of that mindset shift, well, feel like mortal level of severe. And then some of this internal conflict that happens on the plane seems to relate to the internal conflict you may be having as you change your state of mind in this transition, symbolized by the plane. Now, listen, I've only met you for 39 minutes today.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm very open to being wrong, but does any of that resonate with you so far? That seems to be the landscape that we're looking at.
I guess you could say because at the time, I had just moved into this house, and maybe it's like something along the lines of like I wasn't going to see, my mom or dad every day, and I'd spent the summer at home, in my hometown, and my college town's only like an hour north, but it was I don't know, it could be something along those lines, and also I don't know, it felt like, the we were talking about, from going to the cruise ship, being kidnapped and taken onto a death row plane. It's kind of like, well, I can't go back to my home anymore where I'm just, safe, no responsibilities, nothing, and I've got to go back to school.
Oh, so the stakes are much higher.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what that means, but that's like that based on the time period that this dream occurred, which was September of last year,
That
it's
would
about a
make a
week
lot of
before
sense.
my junior year started, so.
That would make a lot of sense. Let me ask you this. So the rest of it gets into a lot of very specific characters and a lot of the conflict between them. There's a lot of stuff about trying to make decisions, about conflict, about even aggression between the characters. Could you help me understand, what do you feel like the core emotion was that you were feeling inside of this dream while you were
Stress.
dreaming it?
Yeah. Stress, because I don't know, the fear of like dying, obviously, because as the pilot is literally flying into, characters from shows, and then I'm trying to save them, and they're like literally flying out, and then of course my cousin's wife shows up at the end to help me out of nowhere. And I don't
That's
know,
true.
like I said, at the end of the dream, like, I usually end my dreams with my friends, like when I'm typing them, I always end it with, then I woke up. But this one, I specifically made sure to write, then I woke up, and then my heart is still racing because I was like, I woke up, and I don't know if you've had that, like, I'm kind of like, oh, it was just a dream.
So very stressful, almost waking
Yeah,
you up from the dream amounts of stress.
yeah. I don't know if that's it. Well, I'm sure it is a thing, but like I've had like anytime like falling or whatever in a dream, like I always wake up before I hit the ground.
Yeah. Sometimes that can be physical. The way to kind of tell the difference between like the type of stress that happens because you had too much ice cream before bed versus the type of stress that happens because you're going through a big transition is to always look at the story.
Hmm.
Oftentimes when you're falling and hit the ground in a dream and it wakes you up, there's not a lot of story behind it. That's much more of a physical dream. That's probably like ice cream or cheese.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
there's a big story behind it, it's probably related to the emotions. And so
Yeah,
for this one, maybe your diet needs to be looked at.
I
Talk with
hate
your
ice
doctor.
cream.
So my thought is, because there's such an involved story behind this, two things. One, because there's an involved story, this feels like emotional stress, not physiological stress from ice cream or cheese. And then two, because there's so much detail in this dream, I would imagine that the topics that are being elucidated in this dream are probably very personal and very touchy, because it seems like your dream is going through a lot of effort to conceal the deeper meaning. And
Hmm.
I find that to often be the case with my clients when their mind wants to make them aware of something, but they may cognitively not want to yet be aware of that. So, I think it was Sigmund Freud who first said that the more bizarre a dream, the more impactful and important the content is, because your mind is going through extra steps to try and hide that content. And so that's at least, kind of the theory that I come to this dream with. When you think about September and you think about the stress, what do you think was the thing that was stressing you out the most, but perhaps not the most obvious thing that was stressing you out the most, the deepest thing that was stressing you out the most? It sounds like a lot of internal conflict.
I think this is something I kind of realized a little bit after the fact. I don't know how much detail I want to go into about this, but
It's totally fair. It's personal.
The weekend before, I believe it was the weekend before, I was kind of forced to go to something that I had made kind of clear that I did not want to do, and it ended up being pretty awful. It was, as much as I, sometimes I can make lighthearted jokes about being on the spectrum, some things can be really overstimulating for me. And I had set the boundary, but I had some people kind of overstep it and just kind of pressure me into going. And then it really was not a great weekend. And I think after the fact, I kind of, wow, you really got to the details of it. But I think I had tried to like gaslight myself into being like, no, that was fine. Like, you're the problem. It's you, and
Wait,
after.
do you hear what you just said?
Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks I have that money, she scoffed. Then the pilot flew the plane right into the Jesse characters. He shouted, "You," as he flew, into Ravi as he held onto the "you."
Mm-hmm.
And you just said the gaslighting and the word "you." Like,
yeah, well, this was that in the dream, though. I will say that was the letter U. He was holding the letter U, but maybe that there is meaning to that also. But
yeah, well, kind of like a message shift there of like, well, this is you. It's like, oh, it is you. It's Sam,
and I think
you.
the meaning, if you were going to take that route, is like I think I had to like accept that I was peer pressured into doing something that I didn't want to do, and it did backfire, and I should have listened to myself, and I should have stood up for myself a little bit more. And it was hard because it did kind of strain some relationships, at least for me, which was rough.
I have some kind thoughts that I'd like to share about that, but before I do, I want to ask, because we sort of identified that this is related to the elementary school time in your life, were these also, I mean, total speculation, but is there a connection between similar emotions you felt in elementary school?
Well, I think at that time in elementary school, I think just like, first of all, it would just be the innocence or whatever of childhood or whatever. But at the same time in elementary school, I was, in a second, I was undiagnosed. Yeah, I'm fine. I was undiagnosed autistic, and we didn't find out till I was in 6th grade. And I think like the social part of that was a lot harder when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And gosh, sorry, but I think it was just difficult or whatever, because the thing is, when I did get diagnosed the next year, it was rough because I had seen so much, and this is partially the media to blame. I had seen so much representation of what it means. Like, there's one character in one show who everyone thinks is weird, even if they try and say they're not. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, that's me. And so I said I had to hide it for like 6 years. And I arguably, most people, like, as I got older, it was less and less easy to notice unless you really like sat down with me and talked. But I had to cover it up for a while also.
Yeah.
And so I think it sucks, because I think if I was a kid again, or when I was a kid, it was like, if we had known earlier, like, I feel like a lot I feel like it would have been a lot easier for my my family and I to understand what I needed and why I had so many fixations, why I had such a limited palette. And yeah, so I don't know if that's what was coming up too.
Yeah, well,
and the same weekend, just like with the amount of overstimulation that was going on at that time, over that weekend when I had specifically tried to set a boundary as I'd been advised to do.
Hmm.
It just, it felt like, I don't know, it just left a scar.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely did. I appreciate you sharing all that. You asked, you're like, I don't know if that's what the dream is talking about, but I mean, I think just because of the emotions that's coming up, I would venture to say I'm very certain that that is what the dream is talking about. I think you feel that too, and I appreciate you being open enough to share that. The kind thing I wanted to say is something that often comes up in the work that I do with complex trauma. The brain doesn't like chaos. It doesn't like being out of control, and even less, it does not like feeling alone and isolated and like you don't fit in. I mean, we're very social creatures, human beings, and we need each other to survive. And so one of the most painful things, one of the most horrific tortures that you can do to a person is, isolation. So we reserve that punishment for only the most heinous of criminals, to put them into solitary confinement, because we know psychologically what that does to a person. And anybody who's been bullied and ridiculed and pushed out and misunderstood knows how painful that experience really truly is. The brain doesn't like that. And so in an attempt to try and recover, in an attempt to try and move through that, it makes a pretty nasty trade. And it will tell the person that it was their fault. The truth of the matter is, maybe there were some other things you could have done. We could play coulda, shoulda, wouldas all day. Maybe if you had stood up for yourself in this way, maybe if you had set boundaries in this way. The truth of the matter is, it sounds like you very much did set a boundary and you stood up for yourself, but that standing up for yourself was not listened to and disrespected. And so, Sam, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to blame yourself for someone else being disrespectful to you. Just in the same way it doesn't make sense to ridicule an 8-year-old child or to blame an 8-year-old child for them trying their hardest to operate with a brain that they did not choose to operate with. A truly magnificent brain, as it is, the gifts that you have. And so, Sam, when I look at you, man, I see that.
Sorry.
No, I imagine that this is a theme that runs through the entire continuity of your life. And so you can see, like, your dream went through a lot of effort to try and conceal this thread, not because it wants to hide anything from you, but because it knows just how core this is to the struggle of Sam trying to exist. So here you are in this transition from parents' house, where you are probably a little bit more supported and understood, to being much more independent. It feels like life and death. You're on this death plane. Everything is on your shoulders. You're trying to communicate. Bricks are being thrown at your head on this plane. And so it's all this internal conflict of, maybe I'm the bad guy. Maybe I'm the bad guy. All these characters. And so much so that half of the characters, specifically the childhood characters, are thrown out of the plane and run into. I imagine that's a big part of the metaphor, is like, get rid of that autistic child and run him over. I think that's what it feels like. And I think your brain's like, please don't do that to me anymore. Does that feel like it resonates with you?
It does. You cracked a meaning for this dream I wasn't expecting, because I just picked this one too as one of the most wild ones that I think I've had.
Yeah. Well, you definitely gave me a run for my money. You got my work cut out for me. But there's always, I never know where it's going to go. And I didn't read this before we started. I mean, you saw the timestamp. You sent it to me 10 minutes ago. I never know where it's going to go, but it's always really meaningful whenever we unpack the dreams. And so now the ball's in your court. It's like, what do you want to do with this dream? Your mind has given you this gift of some valuable information of, like, Sam, will you be there for me? Will you help me heal? These are the mistakes that I'm making. This is the way that I blame myself and hurt myself. And so we never end it with interpretation. As we wrap up, if it's okay, I'd like to ask you, what is it that you dream? is asking for you to do differently?
I guess. Oh wow, I've never been asked this in my whole life, but
That's a good question.
it is a good question. I guess it would be to learn, not to learn, I guess, to be firmer with my boundaries. And if I tell someone something is too overstimulating, I'm not going to let them peer pressure me into doing something I don't want to do again.
I love that. And I think back to that manifest and latent content, if you'll allow me
Yeah.
to speak this, is yes, boundaries outside, but manifest content, but yes, boundaries inside, latent content. I'm also not going to allow myself to gaslight myself and to bully myself,
Yeah.
because it's so easy. And I do this too. It's so easy to treat myself the same way that I've been treated by other people who didn't respect me. Man, Sam, I just gotta say thank you so much for being brave, for sharing such a vulnerable thing and allowing us to dissect this. I know that there are many other people who are going to be inspired by your story, the way that your brain works, and like the things that you struggle with, because that is a human thing. There are many people who will be encouraged by your story. So thank you for coming on and taking this time to talk with me about your
Thank you for having me and letting me show you my dream slideshow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every morning before I do anything else.
You got to keep me up to date if I start to make the ranking chart.
No, when you get on there, I will let you know what you did.
I'm so it's probably going to be something absolutely ridiculous, and I can't wait.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be awesome. You'll get an essay too at the end of the year.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I got so excited about everything that you were sharing that I got to take a moment to the side and do a special shout out and a thank you to the sponsor of the show, Julie at Empowering Me. You got to be pre-interviewed by Julie, who does all of our pre-interviews. Yes. And so just shout out to Julie at Empowering Me. All of the links to that are in the description down below. She has a wonderful page that supports those who are recovering from trauma and empowering them through their stories. So just a great community that she runs. And some wonderful work that she's doing. So thank you for her for spending the time and energy to help us make this show possible. If anyone watching this would like to be on the show, of course, Sam, you're just a follower like everybody else. Yep. And so the regular everyday followers, the application is in the description. And there's also a link to our Discord channel if you want to talk with some other dreamers, share your dreams, and get involved with the community. Everyone trying to grow better together. But Sam, thank you so much. We'll
of
catch
course.
you next
Thank you
one.
so much for having me.
All right. Until then, bye.
Until then, see ya. Bye.
I will end the recording, but we won't hang up yet because it's got to upload. So.